The big news today.
Big news.
Yes, the big news is Cracker Barrel. As the Cracker Barrel stock has effectively tanked after they have moved away from this sweet old-fashioned logo over here.
Good fire women.
Yes, to this horrendous modern take on the logo here. Bland, boring, bleh, right? Just removing the old man and the actual barrel. It would say the cracker and the barrel, if you will. They just straight up, they're removing everything that everybody loves about Cracker Barrel. And it doesn't stop with the logo here. People are not happy about this. We've seen this many, many times over the last few years, this modernization of classic logos here. I believe you had a slide pulled up, Phoenix.
Yeah, ready to go?
Fire away. What do we got?
Here's the first one.
Okay, you can see Burberry over here, even Pfizer of all companies. The various changes of logos here, the refresh. Subway got a new look. We got Warner Brothers just getting rid of that beautiful gold in favor for a, I guess, quote unquote, clean white.
I hate Globo Homo.
Globo Homo, huh?
Yeah, global homogenization is what that stands for.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Well, Cracker Barrel is indeed a global homo now. And the biggest global homo has to be their CEO, because she appeared on Good Morning America to justify this. Because when
those
they
glasses are a red flag.
Ooh, boy, are they.
They're so bad, because if you look at her LinkedIn, she looks nothing like those glasses. Like whoever fitted those frames should be fired. Terrible.
Well, as somebody who has glasses like that, I will tell you, yes, they are awful. But here she was on Good Morning America justifying the change here. A few things I want you to take note of as we're watching this. Watch her justification of why people love this, and then watch Michael Strahan, who is the host, his response to what.
Wait, what do you mean? Why
says.
People love this? Their stock tanked. What does she mean?
Well, this was before the stock tanked. They went on Good Morning America to do a little promotion of this, to talk about Cracker Barrel. This is definitely a paid spot.
Who was their focus group that they trialed this with? Like, who said, yes, this is better? Because find them and just remove them from the gene pool.
I'm going to tell you who. It was this lady right here. It started and stopped with her right here. So let's go and see what she had to say.
Honestly, the feedback's been overwhelmingly positive that people like what we're doing. I'll give you another soundbite. I actually happened to be in Orlando last week with all of our managers. We bring them together and every other year. And the number one question that I got asked, Michael, was, how can I get a remodel? When can I get a remodel? How do I get on the list?
Oh, really?
So because the feed.
Look at how interested. Oh, really? Really?
It looks
Michael's
awful. Like,
dubious.
They showed the inside of that Cracker Barrel like last week, and it had like all soul removed from it. It was just bland fucking nonsense.
Oh,
nobody likes it.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that for sure. But I love kind of the corporate press, like his response here.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
How do I get on the list?
Oh, really?
So.
Oh, really? Wow, that's fascinating to me. Whoa. Okay.
Because the feedback and the buzz is so good, not only from our customers, but from our team members. They want to work in a wonderful restaurant. So we're doing everything for our guests and our team members.
Julie Messino, it's wonderful to have you.
Yeah. Okay. So just out of sheer morbid curiosity, just they're doing it all for their team members and everything, and all the people. By the way, their stock is down 10% today. So there's that. It has not gone very well since they announced this at all. And the response online has been outstanding. We'll get to that here very shortly. But this has been the CEO. Blabs pointed out, she's not new. This lady's been around the block. She's been a part of this world for a while. Julie Fels Messino. Why? Simple question to everybody. Why is it always white women?
Because they're a plague. That is the correct answer, Craig.
Blabs, do you have an answer for that? Why is it always the white woman who's changing everything?
I mean, I don't really think that's the case. You can look at Disney, right? CEO Bob Iger absolutely fucked it all up, right? So I don't really agree with that. Although I could just probably say, if we wanted to agree with your statement, it could just be empathy,
Hello, fellow white women.
abuse of empathy. Yeah.
Okay, so allow me to counter that and say, when we've talked about empathy quite a bit, but behind every for your Bob Iger, I'll show you a Kathleen Kennedy.
But Bob agrees with everything. He's the top, so it's not like
You're right.
they're the same at all. She's below him.
It's also
so many
safe
ways.
to blame white women instead of, looking into things.
Well, she's the top of the food chain here when it comes to this, but they've also had a number of different initiatives at Cracker Barrel here. This is something that, hey, it's important to talk about these things, including inclusion at
Culture
Cracker Barrel.
and belonging.
That's right.
See, I was about to say, all of the global homogenization of the brand logos, I think, is part of a demoralization tactic, right? If there's nothing around you that's beautiful and there's nothing around you that stands out and has an individual identity and everything just kind of mishmashes together, it becomes reminiscent of what commie blocks are, essentially, right? They have that big brutalist architecture where everything looks similar to itself. And if everything has a similar identity, if nothing stands out, nothing is individualistic, that will sort of create in people's minds being individualistic is standing out, and standing out is bad. And it makes me feel like this is, with their stock tanking and everything, again, foregoing short-term profit for long-term cultural domination. Craig, you're muted.
They will not be dominating. Thank you, Kirsha. They will not be dominating a whole lot, as people are not really happy with this change over
Well,
here.
yeah, but I mean, again, we've seen with all of
Right.
the other logos, nobody was happy with any of those logo changes, especially the larger brands, and they still happened, and nobody cared about the people who got angry afterwards.
Well, there's the ongoing. Thank you for these Phoenix right here. It's a wonderful B-roll. Now, look, they've changed the logo, and there's been a lot of talk about that. I was actually, it's funny that they beat me to it, because I was actually looking forward to rolling out our rebrand, and it didn't work out. They beat us to it, which was unfortunate. So, sorry guys. We'll go back to the drawing board on this.
It needs to be red.
Well, I thought about it, but that I wanted it to be orange and throw up color. That's what we're going for right there. So, but with the change in the logo from Cracker Barrel, a lot of people are upset about that. But I think there's a bigger thing to be upset about. One of the most iconic things at Cracker Barrel when you sit down to eat is the triangle peg game that you play. That is at the table. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
This is what it looks like right here. You have a this triangle full of pegs, and here it has. You just got to jump over the different pegs, right? It says jump each tee and remove it. Leave only one, you're a genius. Leave two, and you're pretty smart. Leave three, and you're just plain dumb. Leave four or more, you're just plain ignoramus. Right there. So they're doing a little smart shaming for
Whenever
everybody
I'm
here.
hanging with my crackers, I like to say, let's play with them peg and hole games.
That's right. So they've changed this too, Kirsha, to lighten it up for everybody. As this was the previous version. This is the new version here at Cracker Barrel. It says, leave one, you're a genius. Leave two, rocking the chair, but not the game. Leave three or more, no reason to be embarrassed. Try again.
I hate the culture of participation trophies. No, you're just dumb. Stop it.
Of all the things, this is what's got you most pissed, Kirsha.
This makes me upset because it's no, you don't deserve a participation trophy. And if you get upset that a fucking wooden triangle called you dumb, get out of my restaurant. You don't deserve food.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, there's been I love that pissed you off so much. I love everything about that. There's a few memes that have been passed around, which I very much appreciate. These you talked about the interior of the restaurant as well. I thought I kind of laughed at this. I don't know if this is parody or what, but either way, it is silly. Let's see what this guy had to say about it.
Saw this on the internet. Dude said he ate in a remodeled Cracker Barrel and he hated it. And I want to join in on the hate.
He said cracker with a hard R.
Look,
Yes, it is a cracker barrel, not a cracker barrel. All right, so this guy's going to join in on the hate here.
Barrel and he hated it. And I want to join in on the hate. If the Cracker Barrel don't look like the Jim Crow South, I can't eat there. You gotta have the racism.
It's pretty funny.
If I don't walk into that restaurant and see imagery of black men in chains, I just can't eat my grits.
Racism aesthetic. You gotta have the rocking chairs and the hint of segregation in the air. If I don't feel like I'm on the set of Sinners, then how do I know I'm in a Cracker Barrel? This is a gentrified Cracker Barrel. They done took all the character out of it, and I know the edges of the pancake ain't burnt. I gotta feel like somebody wants to say, "Good morning, boy," when I go in, with respect, and no respect at all. I feel like they want me to work there, but they don't want to pay me ever, and I've got to live there. That's Cracker Barrel's thing. If you take that away, what is it? A Denny's, IHOP, a place I don't want to be at.
I mean,
I actually never thought about like Jim Crow or racism being in a Cracker Barrel. I was like, oh, this is just where like old white men like to eat soup.
I 100% agree. I never put Cracker Barrel and racism together ever, but apparently that's a thing online to some people. But also saw this as well. This was a do you remember the trend a few years ago where people would say, "Of course we're this. This is what we do. Of course we're this." Right? This is a quick response to what Cracker Barrel did a few years ago.
We're Cracker Barrel. Of course we serve breakfast all day.
We're Cracker Barrel. Of course we're going to know when you put a photo in the restaurant.
We're Cracker Barrel. Of course we have pay games on every table.
Listen, we fucked up.
Yeah.
So there's that. Then of course the rebrand. Of course, this is a great imagery for this as well. The one on the left, the original logo. The one on the right, the for modern audiences here, which is great.
Pretty much.
When was the last time I gotta think like Bud Light was the last time we saw a brand do this much harm to itself so quickly, right?
I would say Bud Light was a lot worse. I mean, again,
Yeah.
I'm sticking to my guns from what I said earlier. We've seen a million other corporations globo homo their logos, and people get upset and they make content out of it for like maybe a couple of weeks to a month, and then everybody forgets about it, and then the logo goes on to be the same bland nonsense that they changed it to. They don't go back on it. And again, I do believe that these are the short-term losses that these companies are willing to forego in order to have a long-term cultural victory. And in order to stamp out individualism, right? Like this is part of it. All of these recognizable brands, all of these nostalgic brands, everything that makes you feel like comfortable or at home, they need to go. Everything needs to be cold and corporate and homogenous.
There's a lot there. Kongman Lee, who's been on the show here, I think he feels like a lot of people do, when it comes to this. He said this over on X. He says, "This has completely radicalized me against liberal women. I have no idea why, but they are on a perpetual quest to make everything in modern life stale, boring, and void of character. Disgusting." Over here. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, she's the face, but she's not the only company that's done this. And it's a very easy dunk to just be like, how could women? But it's not just women who've been doing this to logos. It's not just women who push global homogenization. And if we focus on like just one person, I think we're going to be missing a lot of other stuff that's happening that's not just the logos.
Well, Steak and Shake came in, and you've seen a lot of companies do this. They're starting to dunk on Cracker Barrel here. Steak and Shake came in and says, "This is what happens when you have a board that does not respect their historical customers or their brand. At Steak and Shake, We've gone back to the basics. Our tallow fries are waiting for you. Oh yeah, you can now pay with Bitcoin right there. So of course,
That's a nice advert for their company.
Yeah, phenomenal. That's exactly. And you know what? They should probably take the points and dunk on everybody
Yes.
for sure. So, I used to work as a manager at Specs and had to ship back Bud Light. People did not buy enough to keep it on our shelves. Yeah, Bud Light went through a tough go for a while. People voted with their wallet, and we'll see.
I wanna see more things like Bud Light. Like, voting with your wallet is a difficult thing to do, and it's something I've done personally for things like Starbucks. I stopped buying them many years ago. Ben and Jerry's, when they started getting crazy, I stopped buying them. But it's like, I've never been under the delusion that like me as a single person can do something to a multi-billion-dollar company. And for voting with your wallet to work, you have to get like a massive group of people together to all agree to not patronize the business. And eventually you'll get people being like, I think like Tim Pool and even Kid Rock went back on it, and they were like, oh, it's time to forgive and forget, like Bud Light, they've been through a lot. Let's go back and buy their beer, guys. And it's like, well, why? They haven't shown that they learned anything. They haven't shown that they're going to change anything. Why would you go back and patronize them? Right. And this is why, like, I like the vote with your wallet idea, and I like that it makes me, on a personal level, feel better to not give money to people who hate me. But in order for voting with your wallet to work, you need to get a lot of people together, and they have to stick to it. And I think that's the biggest problem, is a lot of people will forget, or they'll do it when it's trendy and they can get attention, and then they'll just start going back and buying stuff from there again.
The easiest way around that is just to not worry about everybody else and just go, what are my morals? What are my principles? I don't want to pay for this, the end. And you just hope that if everyone does that they'll do it. But otherwise, who cares? At least you're not contributing to that problem.
That's like kind of, I guess, where we would come in, right? Like, we have platforms. We can be like, hey, the more people do this, the more it's going to impact them. The longer we stick to it, the more damage it's going to do, and they'll have to respond. They won't be able to ignore it and just continue business as usual. And that's what happened with Bud Light for a good period of time, and it was wonderful to see. And I think, like, I bring this up because it's like the biggest example that I have of it. Terra was a very small game, but to play it, a lot of people use something called Terra Toolbox. If you had high ping in Terra, you were just fucked. Like that, but the way the combat was, the higher your ping was, you just get fucked. So Terra Toolbox had something in it to simulate low ping. It would help you be able to play competitively, especially if you lived away from the servers and the data centers. And when Terra started, they had servers like on the West Coast, they had servers for Central US, and they had servers for Eastern US. But as the game got smaller and the population shrank, they consolidated that. And for a while, they only had a server like in Texas, and then they had it in Chicago. And then I think by the time Terra ended, they had it on the West Coast, but I might be misremembering. And so when people started getting banned for using Terra Toolbox, because there are things in Toolbox you can use that would be considered cheating, but when people got banned just for using it in general for like ping purposes, enough people stopped paying their subscription that En Masse Entertainment had to respond, had to unban people, had to say they wouldn't ban people for using Toolbox any longer. And it's great to see companies have to respond in that way when enough people come together and make a difference with not paying the company. But Terra was a very small scale game. Like, it was probably a couple hundred people, if I had to guess. So it was very easy to do on a small scale, but making this large, doing damage to companies that are worth billions of dollars, you need so many more than just a couple hundred.
Well, I think in this situation with, obviously they're definitely taking a punch to the nose today. Cracker Barrel is, and you see that with their market cap and the publicly, their publicly traded company. But yes, I think that's the big thing is will Joe Blow, who's on a road trip with his family going from, Tennessee to Texas, and they have an opportunity to stop, and there is a Cracker Barrel there versus a Chili's right here or whatever, Cracker Barrel versus restaurant B, C, and D, will they forego the country store vibe and go to the other restaurant because of this? And I don't know. I guess we'll see based off their earnings calls. But you make a move like this, and like this is the first time they've changed this in 48 years, right? This is an identity change from here. So if things don't go well, then, we said, well, you can point to the white lady, right? Well, she's the one who's going to have to suffer the consequences here. She's going to be the one who loses her job based off this.
I mean, even if they do that, I don't think anything would change, right? Like, if people are angry enough, the company will be like, oh, well, she's an easy fall guy. We can get her to resign, and everyone will feel like they won, but we're not going to change anything.
Potentially, yeah.
That's what useful idiots are for. They're there to be expendable in your war.
Well, we've seen that. I mean, let's see. So Land O'Lakes hasn't changed their logo back. What was the... there was the
Aunt Jemima.
Yeah, Aunt Jemima.
And Aunt Jemima, like the actual family descended from that lady. They didn't want it changed. Mm-hmm. So it went against the family's wishes as well.
Have you seen there's a push now to reinstate the Washington Redskins logo? No, they're now the Commanders, and like apparently it's the same type of situation where there was the family of the relative of the guy who was initially the logo for the Washington Redskins football team. They're like we want this. We want him to be the logo. It represents our heritage and stuff, not this Commander stuff. And like nobody talked to them. They were just listening to the people complaining online about it. So between them and the Cleveland, I guess they're the Guardians now. They used to be the Cleveland Indians, one of the most iconic baseball teams in America. They rebranded a couple of years ago, and people hated that. But once again, are people not going because of it? Are they not buying, Guardians stuff? Are they not buying, like I'm sure there's a couple of guys who don't want to go, but ultimately, like if your team's good, they're going to support them.
And it's like another thing with like erasing brand identity is it's a way to rewrite history. If you erase brand identity, not that like brands make history, but if you erase the identity, you can then reimagine how those companies came to prominence, and people aren't going to have anything to easily look at and be like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. It's kind of like I did a deep dive recently on how transgender activists are trying to change history for what happened at Stonewall. They're trying to claim that the gay crossdresser was actually a transgender person, and they're like taking him and using him as the person who started it when it was actually like a butch lesbian black woman, if I'm remembering correctly. And so it's like when they change these identities and people forget what the foundations were, it's going to be easier to rewrite things.
That's interesting. And you are seeing that now a lot. The people who are complaining about history being rewritten are the ones who are doing their best to rewrite history to their liking.
Well, yeah, they accuse you of what they're doing, because if they accuse you of the things that they do, they can paint you as a bad person. And it's how, like, they can get away with lying and being radical while calling you like a white supremacist or a Nazi, because those are more damaging and more dangerous terms. And so as long as they're obfuscating the things that they're doing that are fascist and authoritarian and paint you as that, you're going to lose opportunity, you're going to lose money, you're going to be ostracized, and they can keep doing exactly what they're doing to win the culture.
Well, we'll see if people vote with their wallets. If a bunch of people do, when it comes to
so.
Cracker Barrel, yes, we'll see. Obey your digital overlords. Watch this video right here that YouTube suggested for you.